First contact shock. Ambassador Krell of the Star Federation stood motionless on the observation deck of the celestial envoy, his four eyes fixed on the blue-green planet growing larger in the view screen. Earth, a Level 3 civilization according to Federation classification, barely a century into their space age, still finding their footing among the stars. Ambassador, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, announced Communications Officer Trin, her tentacles working deftly across the control panel. They're requesting we hold position at the L4 Lagrange point. Krell's ridge scales fluttered in amusement. Hold position. Do they think we're some kind of threat? Perhaps they're simply cautious, said Science Director Venna, her crystalline form shimmering as she approached. Our records indicate humans have a particularly pronounced survival instinct. Understandable for such a young species. Krell nodded. Maintain course as planned. Ready the welcome protocols. This is a standard first contact mission, after all. The words had barely left his mouth when the ship's sensors began blaring with urgent alerts. Ambassador, cried the sensor officer, we're detecting a massive energy signature emerging from Earth's orbit. Krell's amusement vanished. Impossible. Their technological development chart indicates rudimentary fusion at best. Display visual. The main screen shifted, and the bridge crew collectively fell silent. Rising from the dark side of Earth's moon came a vessel of impossible proportions and design, sleek and angular, with a hull that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. It moved with a grace that defied its massive size. That's not possible, whispered Venna, her crystalline structure dimming with shock. Their technological progression should be centuries away from such achievements. The Federation vessel's computer struggled to analyze the Earth ship. Its hull was composed of materials unknown to Federation science, and its propulsion method defied conventional understanding of physics. They're hailing us, Ambassador, Trin announced, her voice strained. On screen, Krell managed, attempting to regain his composure. The view screen shifted to reveal a human female in what appeared to be a formal military uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and her expression betrayed neither fear nor awe, only calm authority. This is Admiral Elena Vega of the Earth Defense Force vessel Horizon. You have entered restricted space without proper clearance. State your intentions immediately. Krell's diplomatic training kicked in despite his shock. I am Ambassador Krell of the Star Federation. We come in peace on a standard diplomatic mission to welcome Earth into the interstellar community. Admiral Vega's expression didn't change. Your vessels match no known configuration in our database. Furthermore, you bypassed our outer sensor grid without notification. Outer sensor grid, Venna muttered incredulously. They shouldn't have that capability. Krell silenced her with a gesture. Admiral, there appears to be some confusion. Our records indicate Earth has only achieved basic spaceflight capabilities within the last century. We didn't expect this. For the first time, a slight smile touched Vega's lips. Your records are outdated, Ambassador. Humanity doesn't develop along predictable paths like your Federation species. She paused. We'll escort you to our diplomatic station. Follow the Horizon's lead precisely. Any deviation will be considered hostile. The transmission cut, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Ambassador, Venna said quietly, I've completed preliminary scans of their vessel. It's operating on principles we've theorized but never successfully implemented. They appear to be manipulating quantum fields directly, creating localized reality distortions for propulsion. Impossible, Krell repeated, but with less conviction. Such technology would require centuries of development. Unless, offered strategic advisor Jax, speaking up for the first time, they didn't follow the standard technological progression path at all. The Horizon moved alongside the Federation vessel, its presence overwhelming. Close-up scans revealed weapon ports along its hull, technology far beyond what Earth should possess. Follow them, Krell ordered, his voice tight, and transmit everything back to Federation headquarters. The Council needs to know immediately. As the celestial envoy fell into formation behind the Earth vessel, Krell observed the impossible ship with mounting unease. The Federation had encountered over 300 spacefaring species in its long history, and all had followed predictable development paths. All except humans, apparently. The diplomatic station turned out to be a massive orbital platform positioned at Earth's L5 Lagrange point, another technological marvel that shouldn't exist yet. As they approached, Krell could see dozens of ships of various designs coming and going, suggesting Earth was already engaged in substantial interstellar traffic. Ambassador, Vena's voice was barely audible. I'm detecting non-human life signs aboard that station. Multiple species, some unknown to our database. The realization hit Krell like a physical blow. They've already made contact with other civilizations, without our knowledge or guidance. Sir, Jack said grimly, I believe our first contact protocols are entirely inadequate for this situation. The Federation delegation was escorted through the station's impressive docking bay by silent, armored human guards. The interior architecture blended function and aesthetic beauty in ways that spoke of a civilization far more advanced than their records suggested. They were led to a conference room where Admiral Vega awaited, along with several other humans, and to Krell's shock, representatives of at least 3 other spacefaring species, including the notoriously isolationist Kalians. Ambassador Krell, Vega began formally, welcome to Harmony Station. I apologize for the cautious reception, but unexpected visitors tend to make us vigilant. Admiral, Krell struggled to maintain diplomatic composure. I confess we are surprised by Earth's level of technological advancement. Our records indicated. Your records, interrupted a Kalian representative, are based on a flawed understanding of developmental patterns. The Federation's insistence that all species follow the same technological path is misguided. Krell's ridge scales flattened in distress. We have studied thousands of civilizations over tens of thousands of years. The pattern has been consistent. Vega leaned forward. Until humanity. We don't do things linearly, Ambassador. When faced with problems, we try multiple approaches simultaneously. We compete. We collaborate. We fail fast and learn faster. But the quantum field manipulation technology alone should have taken centuries to develop. Vena exclaimed, unable to contain herself. A human scientist beside Vega smiled. We didn't know it was supposed to be impossible, so we just did it. This changes everything, Krell said, more to himself than anyone else. The Federation's careful management of galactic development, its position as benevolent guide to younger species, all of it was predicated on predictable technological progression. Yes, agreed Vega, her expression serious once more. It does. Which brings us to why we've agreed to this meeting. We know about the Federation's practice of guiding younger civilizations, implementing technological restrictions, cultural monitoring. Krell felt a chill run through him. Those protocols exist for the safety of all species. Uncontrolled technological development can lead to catastrophe. Perhaps, Vega acknowledged, or perhaps it's simply the most comfortable arrangement for maintaining the Federation's position of power. Before Krell could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Vega's hand went immediately to her communication device. Report, she barked. A voice responded, audible to all in the room. Admiral, we're detecting multiple spatial anomalies in the Kuiper Belt. Energy signatures match those from the Rift incident. Vega's expression hardened. How many? 7 and increasing. They appear to be converging. She looked directly at Krell, all diplomatic pretense gone. It seems our conversation will have to wait, Ambassador. We have a more immediate situation to address. What's happening? Krell demanded, sensing the sudden tension in the room. Vega's reply was grim. Something your Federation has apparently never encountered. But we have. 3 times now. She stood, already issuing orders to her staff. If you want to understand why humanity developed as we did, Ambassador, You're about to get a first-hand lesson. Alliance of Necessity. The command center of Harmony Station hummed with controlled urgency as holographic displays showed the spreading spatial anomalies in the outer solar system. Ambassador Krell and his delegation stood to the side, forgotten in the flurry of activity as Admiral Vega coordinated Earth's response. "Launch the sensor drones," Vega ordered. "Full quantum spectrum analysis. And get the horizon ready for jump. I want a defensive perimeter established before those rifts fully materialize." Krell stepped forward. "Admiral, what exactly are we dealing with?" Vega glanced at him, as if just remembering the Federation representatives were present. After a moment's hesitation, she gestured them closer to the main display. "We call them void rifts, tears in the fabric of space-time that allow something to enter our reality." She manipulated the display to show footage from a previous encounter. Massive, shifting tiers in space, through which writhed shapes that seemed to defy visual processing. Entities composed of exotic matter with no analog in our universe, explained the human scientist who had spoken earlier. They exist partially outside our physical laws, which makes them problematic. "Deadly is what they are," added a gruff voice. A scared human officer joined them, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused. "Lost 2 ships and a colony to them before we figured out how to close the rifts." Venna moved closer to the display, her crystalline form reflecting the eerie images. "This is impossible. Such trans-dimensional phenomena would be detected by Federation long-range sensors, unless they're deliberately targeting systems outside Federation monitoring range," Vega suggested. "Like Earth." The implication hung in the air. If these rifts were selective in their manifestation, it suggested intelligence, purpose. "We've encountered nothing like this in Federation history," Krell admitted. "Our defenses aren't designed for extra-dimensional incursion." "No one's are," said the scared officer grimly. "That's why we had to create new ones." Vega turned to Krell. "Ambassador, I propose a temporary alliance. Your ship has sophisticated sensor arrays that could help us locate the focal points of the rifts. In return, we'll show you how we deal with these entities." Krell hesitated only briefly. Whatever political complications this unusual first contact had created, the immediate threat took precedence. "Agreed. The celestial envoy is at your disposal." Within hours, the combined Earth and Federation vessels were positioned at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. The rifts had continued to grow, now clearly visible even to normal sensors as writhing tears in the fabric of space. Aboard the horizon, Krell watched in fascination as human technicians worked alongside his Federation specialists to integrate their systems. The humans operated with a controlled chaos that went against all Federation protocols, trying multiple approaches simultaneously, abandoning failed attempts without hesitation, building on each other's ideas without formal process. "Your methods are unorthodox," he observed to Chief Engineer Matsuda, who was elbow-deep in a Federation sensor console. Matsuda grinned. "That's a diplomatic way of putting it, but results matter more than process when you're fighting for survival." "Is that what drove Earth's accelerated development? Survival?" Matsuda paused her work. "Partly. But it's more than that. Humans don't like being told something's impossible. Tell us we can't do something, and suddenly half the planet is trying to prove you wrong." Before Krell could respond, Admiral Vega's voice came over the communication system. "Rift stabilization in progress. All ships prepare to deploy quantum disruptors on my mark." On the main screen, Krell watched as the horizon deployed what looked like ordinary satellites around the largest rift. But as they activated, he realized they were nothing of the sort. The devices began generating overlapping fields that somehow interfered with the very fabric of space-time. "Those are reality anchors," Venna whispered, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "They're forcing localized stability in quantum probability fields." "Exactly," confirmed Matsuda. "The rifts exploit quantum uncertainty to create stable pathways between dimensions. Our anchors enforce our reality's rules in their vicinity. The rift visibly struggled against the imposed order, its edges fluctuating wildly. "It's working," Krell observed. "For now," Matsuda replied grimly. "But they adapt. Every time we encounter them, they find ways around our previous solutions. It's like they learn." As if confirming her words, one of the reality anchors suddenly failed, its structure seeming to fold in on itself as the rift expanded. "Pattern shift detected," called out a sensor officer. "The rift is altering its quantum signature." Vega's voice remained calm. "Deploy Phase 2 countermeasures." To Krell's shock, the horizon itself began to transform, sections of its hull reconfiguring to generate a massive field that somehow mirrored the rift's own chaotic pattern. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "Fighting chaos with chaos," Matsuda explained, hurriedly adjusting calculations. "Traditional defenses try to impose order on the rifts, but that ultimately fails because they adapt. So instead, we create our own version of their chaos, one we can control and use to disrupt theirs." The strategy was unlike anything in Federation tactical doctrine, which emphasized predictability and controlled responses. Yet as Krell watched, the human approach was clearly working. Where the rifts encountered the horizon's controlled chaos field, they began to destabilize. "Ambassador," Vega called, "we need your ship's graviton emitters to help collapse the weakened rifts. Can your crew configure them to match these specifications?" Data streamed to his console. Krell looked to his science officer, who nodded hesitantly. "It's unconventional, but possible." "Do it," he ordered. As the Federation ship brought its powerful graviton emitters online, calibrated to the strange specifications provided by the humans, Krell reflected on what he was witnessing. In just hours, humans had integrated alien technology with their own systems, adapted to changing threat parameters, and implemented solutions that no Federation Tactical Committee would have approved without years of testing. The combined assault worked. One by one, the rifts collapsed, unable to maintain stability against the coordinated attack. As the final tear sealed itself, a cheer went up from both human and Federation crews. In the aftermath, as damage was assessed and data analyzed, Krell found himself in a quiet observation lounge with Admiral Vega. "Your approach to the rifts," he began carefully, "it's remarkably effective, but also dangerous. You're manipulating fundamental forces with minimal safeguards." Vega nodded. "Because we have to. The rifts don't give us the luxury of caution." "How long have you been dealing with these incursions?" "First encounter was 15 years ago. Lost an entire research outpost before we even understood what we were facing." Her expression darkened with the memory. "After that, development of defense technology became our highest priority. Every resource, every brilliant mind focused on one goal: survival." Krell began to understand. "So that's how you advanced so quickly." "Necessity. Partly. But it's more than that." Vega turned to him. "Your Federation species developed in relatively stable environments, didn't they? Gradual evolution, minimal extinction events, predictable challenges." "Most did, yes. Humans didn't. Our entire evolutionary history is one crisis after another. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanoes. Our planet tried to kill us repeatedly. And each time, we adapted." She smiled slightly. "We're very good at facing extinction, Ambassador." The realization struck Krell with profound force. The Federation's entire approach to galactic civilization was built on predictability and controlled development. But humanity had evolved in an environment that rewarded rapid adaptation and unconventional solutions. The Federation Council will need to reevaluate many of its foundational principles after this, he admitted. "Good," Vega said simply. "Because those rifts are just the beginning. We've detected similar phenomena in 12 systems now, all outside Federation space. Whatever's trying to break through, it's persistent. You believe Earth has been deliberately targeted. We know it has." She handed him a data tablet. These are dimensional incursion patterns over the last decade. They're systematically probing systems with particular quantum signatures, signatures that happen to align with planets where life evolved under high-stress conditions. The implications chilled Krell to his core. Not random anomalies, but targeted attacks against species that might have the adaptive capability to resist. The Federation needs to know this, he said urgently. That's why we agreed to this meeting. Ambassador. Vega's expression was grave. Your Federation has resources and reach we don't yet possess, but we have experience with these entities and technology designed to fight them. You're proposing an alliance. I'm proposing survival, she corrected. The Federation's methodical approach to development has its strengths. Our chaos has its own. Together, we might stand a chance against whatever's coming. As Krell looked out at the stars, he reflected on the profound paradigm shift this encounter represented. The Federation had always seen itself as the teacher, the guide for younger species. But today, they had been the students. I will convey your proposal to the Council, he assured her. Though I must warn you, change comes slowly to institutions as old as the Federation. Vega's smile held a hint of irony. Then perhaps it's time for some adaptive pressure, Ambassador. After all, nothing drives innovation like necessity. As if to punctuate her words, a distant flash briefly illuminated the darkness where the rifts had been, a reminder that beyond the veil of normal space, something waited, something that would not be deterred by conventional defenses or traditional thinking. And for the first time in his long diplomatic career, Ambassador Krell found himself grateful for the unpredictable, chaotic ingenuity of a species that refused to follow the rules, even the rules of evolutionary development itself. Humanity didn't just break the mold. They never acknowledged it existed in the first place.